I wanted to have a conversation here with Avik Roy, who is a senior fellow with the Manhattan Institute, editor and principal author of The Apothecary, the Forbes Health Care blog. The website is manhattan-institute.org. And Avik has recently put out an article that basically says Obamacare is going to jack up your rates. Do I have that right?
Well, it depends on where. It's not. You can't generalize with this law. Everyone's affected in a slightly different way.
Okay. I read your article. I looked through the math. We tried. Two of us tried to. Actually, mostly it was Danielle did it. Tried to replicate your math, and we can't do it. We can't make your numbers work. First of all, you seem to ignore the fact that anybody who makes less than 400% of poverty, which is $80,000 a year, is going to get some kind of government subsidies. You're talking about premiums.
That's not exactly right. So we don't ignore the fact that some people get subsidies, but this is a work in progress. So the first set of data that we've put out is the impact of the law on gross premiums. So that's gross premiums without the effect of subsidies.
Right.
And the third data set, so if you go to the map, there's a section that says Your Decision, which is not completed yet.
Right.
What that section will do is it will explain the impact of subsidies on you. And remember that, yes, different people at different income levels will get subsidies, and it's not $80,000 for everyone. It's $80,000 for a household of four. So if you're single and childless, the threshold for getting subsidies is actually more like $40,000.
Right.
It's complicated. Again, it depends on how large your household is.
No, but by doing that, by ignoring that,
the cost of the premiums in your state, all those factors play a role in what happens, and then the subsidies play a role. So the thing is, it's not merely that you're eligible for subsidies that makes a difference. Actually, the amount of the subsidy matters. So if your premiums,
but you're not including those in the numbers. You're coming out and you're saying to people, look at this Obamacare, the premiums are going to go up. Well, maybe in some states the premiums do go up, but the amount that you're going to pay out of your pocket is going to go down unless you happen to be above the median income in the United States. Is certainly above, $80,000 is pretty good for a family of four. And you fail to mention that. I think this presentation, demonstrates the old cliche from Abraham Lincoln: the figures don't lie, but liars can figure. Respectfully,
you clearly didn't read the piece carefully, because we do discuss the impact of subsidies and explain quite clearly that the subsidies will have an impact for some people, not for everyone, and that. Now, there's another economic point, which is that if you drive up the underlying cost of insurance, the subsidies only protect some people, not everyone. And so driving up the underlying cost
they're not going to protect the Koch brothers.
Is a very important. The subsidies aren't free, right? The subsidies are paid by taxpayers. So you have to take that into account. It's not necessarily a good thing that you drive up the cost of insurance.
I know. The taxes, there's a 3% tax increase on everybody who makes more than, $150,000 a year?
That's not the only tax in the law. There's quite a large battery of taxes, including some taxes that affect people in the middle class.
There's a tax on profits of over $250,000 a year.
Plans taxed at a pretty significant rate. So I mean, this is all.
But you don't point any of those things out
in the explanatory article that accompanies the map.
I see. So don't just look at the map and don't just read the simple, straightforward stuff that says, oh, my God, Obamacare is going to raise your premiums. Dig deep into the numbers and the footnotes, and you'll discover that you might actually spend less out of pocket.
Well, it says quite clearly at the top, for more on our findings, see the accompanying article. There's links to our methodology. There's explanatory descriptions everywhere of what happens. But your point about the subsidies is a key point, which is to say who will benefit from the subsidies and how many people will benefit from subsidies. This is a point of energetic debate among credentialed, credible, thoughtful people. So, but it's incorrect to sort of dismiss increases in premiums by saying, well, everyone's going to benefit from subsidies, so it doesn't matter. That's not true. Some people at the real bottom end of the spectrum will benefit from subsidies, but a lot of people...
Well, you also, in your methodology states, and I'm quoting, you said, in determining who would be eligible for subsidies, we assumed a complete Medicaid expansion and therefore excluded those below 139% of the federal poverty level. The ACA, parenthesis, the ACA expands Medicaid to 133% with a 5% income disregard, making it effectively up to 138%, end of quote. So basically, by taking out all of that Medicaid expansion from your calculations, you're saying, okay, here's the average, but we're going to ignore all the low end, basically all the free stuff, and all these people who are going to get this Obamacare for essentially free. And we can debate the meaning of that word, and I'm guessing you'll want to, but by excluding that, you're throwing all your numbers off.
That's not true at all. So again, we state very clearly that the point of this exercise is to discuss how the Affordable Care Act affects this very specific population.
Right, the upper income brackets.
People who shop for insurance on their own, who have incomes higher than 138% of the federal poverty level. That's exactly the group that we're talking about. And if you didn't read that in the analysis, then you didn't read it carefully.
I just read it to you.
It's quite clearly stated in the analysis.
Right. I just read it to you, and it seems that when you
So this is not misleading. We're being very upfront. Very smart. Read Jonathan Cohn's take on it today. I mean, he and I have gone back and forth on this quite a bit, and he agrees that this is a reasonable and fair analysis. He may be more optimistic about the outcome of what happens on the exchange.
He's quite optimistic about that.
But in terms of the analysis and the methodology and the facts, there's really no dispute about the facts in this situation.
You also, I found no mention in here of the impact on people of other dimensions of Obamacare, like, for example, your health insurance company can no longer say, you hit your lifetime premium when you got cancer, or, payout, we're not going to pay for the last half of your treatment. Sorry, go die.
No, again, quite the opposite. So this is not meant to be an encyclopedia of the Affordable Care Act. If you want the encyclopedia, you can download the.
But the Affordable Care, at the very least, they break out three plans. You've got bronze and silver and gold or whatever it is. Why didn't you mention those?
Increase the regulatory constraints in the insurance business, and so there will be a lot of things that are different about the product. And the question is, what will be the cost of that? So will people value? So your point is, there are going to be all these benefits,
sure,
because the insurance product is going to protect you more, but that's going to cost more. So the question is, do people want to pay more?
Not necessarily. It could be costing the insurance companies more. The insurance companies are limited to only a 20% profit now. They could make a 30, 40, 50% profit before. Now they're limited to a 20% profit.
Actually incorrect. So insurers don't make a 20% profit. The typical profit margin for a publicly traded for-profit insurer is about 4 to 6%.
Yeah, but I'm talking about total overhead. You're right. You're absolutely right. I shouldn't say profit. Let me say, Stephen J. Hemsley, who has made over $1 billion as the CEO of United Healthcare, and the over 100 executives at United Healthcare who make over $1 million a year, he may only make a couple $100 million instead of $1 billion, and his $1 million executives might become $700,000 a year executives. I realize that's not classically considered profit. But
that's not actually correct. So if you look at the stock prices of insurance companies, they've all skyrocketed in the last 3 years since the Affordable Care Act was passed.
Of course, more people are going to have insurance.
This law is a giveaway to insurance companies. It doesn't restrain private insurers at all.
It's not a giveaway to them. It is expanding the base for their products. It is going to stabilize and strengthen them. It's going to do the things that cause stocks to go up. But it's not necessarily going to be. It's not necessarily going to be a good thing for the CEO who wants to take $1 billion. So
watch their salaries over time. You'll see they're going to stay the same or go up.
Okay. Well, if that's the case, then I'm horrified. Ovik Roy, Manhattan-Institute.org is the website. This was published over at nationalreview.com as well. Thanks for being with us today.
Sure thing.
We'll be right back.